Gabby Petito, as you know, was found dead on the 19th of September, 2021 in the Grand Teton area near a creek in a field close to where their van was last spotted. There's a lot of stuff going on out there and a lot of information. This case is so big, so popular on the internet right now. So many people that have information and so many people that have misinformation. So I want to clear up some of the facts versus rumors and give you some updates. Welcome to Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm Kathy. Talk about Gabby and Brian. August 12, 2021, they were pulled over in Moab, Utah after a 911 call came in alerting the department that there was a woman being hit by a male.
Grant County Sheriff's Office.
Were you able to get a description of the intoxication?
Hi, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, I'm calling. I'm right on the corner of Main Street by Moonflower, and we're driving by, and I'd like to report a domestic dispute. Florida with a white van, Florida license plate, white van, gentleman,
Where's
about
it at?
5'6", beard. They just drove off. They're going down Main Street. They made a right onto Main Street from Moonflower.
Or what were they doing?
Cooperative, but what do you say?
What were they doing?
We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
He was slapping her?
Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
Okay, you said it's a white van?
White van. I can give you the license plate if you give me 1 sec. I took a picture of it.
What kind of white van? Like a big one?
It was a smaller van with the license plate of, it was white, Florida license plate QFT G03. It was, the make was a Ford, model was Transit, black ladder on the passenger side.
Black ladder, passenger side.
White Ford Transit.
White Ford Transit. Okay, what's your name? And where did they, so they headed south on Main Street from Moonflower Market?
Correct, they made the right turn.
Oh, so they went north.
North, yeah, sorry, I'm not from around here.
Okay, so you're right there by the post office?
Right across the street, yep.
Okay, and when they turned onto Main Street, they went right or left?
Right.
Right, so they went north. North on Main. All right, I will let somebody know. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Bye.
Thanks.
They described the van, they gave the license plate number, and they sent the report. Now, August 17th through the 23rd, it has been said that Brian went home to Florida and came back. August 23rd, Gabby's father ordered them Uber Eats or her Uber Eats while she was staying in a hotel in Salt Lake City. They ordered a pizza. On August 24th, they were seen checking out of the hotel in Salt Lake City. On August 25th, Gabby did speak to her mom on the phone. Her mom heard her voice. I'm not sure if it was FaceTime, but she heard her voice for sure. Now, a new development came out today on social media and in the news that they were spotted at the Merry Piglet Cafe in Jackson Hole on August 27th. That was also the day that Red, White, and Bethune saw their van on the side of the road. And on August 29th, that was the day that Miranda Baker allegedly picked up Brian when he was hitchhiking.
5:30 at night at Coulter Bay. I'm hoping this can help someone identify him because I saw him from TikTok, which then made me call the authorities, and my boyfriend and I have been in contact with a bunch of different people to help.
Okay. So now, what's circulating out there? First of all, there's a whole bunch of people that are really confused about the 911 witness. There are 2 witnesses. You can tell this if you really look at the police report and the call and what the police report says. There's 2 officers, and one officer is Officer Eric Pratt, and the other is Daniel Robbins. Okay, I'm not going to read you the entire police report, but I just want to point a couple things out. Officer Pratt points out that he went to the Moonflower Cafe to see if any witnesses were there. He found one by the name of Christopher. He took his name and phone number and then went to join the other officer, who was Officer Robbins, that had pulled the couple over. Then when he got there, he called Christopher, and Christopher said that he saw this pushing, shoving, and everybody's story sort of lined up. However, the 911 caller that called is not contacted at all here. It was noted that the 911 call came in to report a male hitting a female. I really wish this 911 caller would come forward because it would clear up a lot. I'm absolutely convinced there's 2 people. Because first of all, the 911 caller is very specific that the he was hitting the she.
What'd you say?
What were they doing?
We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
He was slapping her?
Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
News reporter Brian Eaton, he said, for everyone asking whether Chris in the witness statement is the same Chris on the 911 call, I just got some clarity. I spoke to the Moab police. It's a bit complicated. They explained that Grand County Dispatch took the 911 call, and Moab police took the witness statement. 2 different entities. Police could not tell me whether it's the same person or not. They say only way to figure it out would be to compare the records. The problem is the records from both entities are redacted in the 911 call. They silenced the last name. And the police report, they redacted the last name. So at this point, I don't know if there's a way to know for sure. The other guy mentioned that in his statement, Chris mentions in his statement at the end that he was going to call, but somebody else had already called. They didn't get more than 1 call, did they? But in my opinion, and I'm going to let this go in a minute, there was a caller that specifically saw them being hit. And then there was the Christopher who made this statement, and it sounds to me like he saw the end of what was going on, because the initial caller said we were driving, and we saw a male hitting the female. They stopped and they called. The other Christopher was still on the scene, or the other witness was still on the scene when Eric Pratt drove up. Okay, so that's that one. It's not completely clear. It is confusing, but in my opinion, there's 2 people, a caller and another witness that did a handwritten statement. Okay, we're going to let that one go. Interestingly enough, today there was a woman that came forward on her Instagram account. Her name is Nina. Her and her husband or her boyfriend were on a trip there, and they were eating at the cafe, the Merry Piglet Mexican Cafe, on August 27th. Today, they remembered, because her husband, boyfriend was saying, I've seen that guy somewhere, I know that guy somewhere. It clicked. They put it together that the couple that was fighting in the cafe was actually Brian and Gabby. The cafe did put out a statement that confirms this. They said, yes, we can confirm Gabby and Brian were in Merry Piglets. We have not deleted any comments or messages on social media. The screenshots you see were direct messages to our account and not public. We have already notified the FBI and they are aware. We are letting them do their job, and we are respecting Gabby's family and have nothing further to comment. Somebody had contacted the Merry Piglet on their private messages, and they said, I'm sure the FBI has contacted you. Please release footage or statement asking for anyone in the restaurant on August 27th to come forward and say what they saw happen between the couple fighting with the hostess. Any tips are helpful information, and the public has pieces together everything in this case. The more public you can make things, the faster and better it can be for results. Video footage can connect all the dots. I understand if it's deleted, but if so, please ask people to come forward, especially manager and hostess. Thank you. Rest in peace, Gabby. And they said, yes, we are aware. And then the person said, thank you. Has the FBI or law enforcement been in contact? But they made their statement that, yes, they have spoken to the FBI and they are letting, them do their job. And this poor girl, Nina, that came on her Instagram and made this statement today was getting a lot of haters for some reason. I don't know. Everybody's calling everybody a liar. I don't get it. Her story was very specific and they were literally in that same area. This is a big clue though, because that means on August 27th, Gabby was alive. So I don't know what happened when the picture was posted with the butterfly. That's different than her normal posts, but again, probably irrelevant at this point. Another thing, there were all kinds of rumors and stating that somebody saw Brian in a Walmart or in a store in Alabama. That has not been proven to be true. It sounds like it wasn't him. Also, the other gentleman that was seen with a backpack on the deer camera at 6 a.m. that people thought was Brian 500 miles away in Baker, that person was found to be a resident of that area, and it was not Brian. Again, that wasn't Brian. That was proven to be untrue, not him. Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office said it was a mistaken identity. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office has positively identified the individual whose image was captured on a deer trail camera near Baker and shared on social media, sparking nationwide speculation that it was the missing Northport resident, Briane Laundrie. The OCSO has confirmed the man is an Okaloosa County resident who acknowledged that he was the one walking on the deer trail carrying a backpack. Several OCSO deputies familiar with the individual noticed the resemblance to the photos of the person spotted on the deer trail, as well as the presence of a neck tattoo. The private citizen was located and a positive identification has been made. During its search and investigation, the OCSO found no indications that Briane Laundrie was in Okaloosa County. Another thing I wanted to bring attention to is people keep putting these pictures of the van on the side of the road and seeing really random stuff in there that I don't see. They're saying they see a dead body in there. They say they see her knees. They say they see blood on her face. Literally, you cannot see anything in there. So that one needs to just stop. Stop, 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 stop. They're saying they see that when that van drove by on the 27th. Just stop. Just stop. It really doesn't matter if Brian was in there or not. Some people see the door closing. He might have been in there. It doesn't matter. Somebody also sees, you can see somebody out in the field, which looks like about where her body would have been, either digging or bending over. Now, while we're on the topic of that, let's look and see if you can see the person out there on the left. I'm going to slow it down, show you it and slow it down, and see if you can see that person out in the field, because I think that's a really interesting clue. But it'd be interesting to know if we all see that same thing. And then the van door closing. I would like to know if you think it's an optical illusion, because I am not convinced that that van door was closing. I feel like it might have just been an optical illusion. But again, they were spotted on the 27th. Brian was alive. For sure, Brian was alive when that van was sitting there. We don't know if Gabby was.
On the left, it's circled where people think there is an actual person out there. I have a really hard time seeing that while this video is going by. I can see something out there. And then when I slowed it down, I still am not completely convinced that it's a person doing anything out there. But you'll see coming up here in just a second that there is that field if you just look past that bush. And now it's way slowed down, so we can't see what kind of movement it has or if it's actually a person. But there you go. I find it pretty interesting that it does appear there could be somebody out there at that moment. Now let's look at the door. Keep your eye on the back of the van. It's coming up really close. It's hard to see. Now see that? That's where it's circled. That's the door open on a pretty clear picture. So I'm thinking that door is open. I don't think it's an optical illusion that when I get really close and really still frame it, it looks like it was open. So somebody was definitely there. Could have been Gabby because, again, we've seen those sandals behind the van door as well. So keep your eye on it. Here it comes. And see, it is dark line and it is out of view. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. We shall move on.
And then you can see how close on this map that Gabby's body was found, how close it was to where the van was parked that day, which is extremely creepy, right? Because those people could have been going by there right at the time all this had gone down. Also, that park, that Mayaka State Park where the Carlton Reserve is, right next to it, as you can see when the helicopters fly over, it's very swampy. I have been there in that park right next to it, and we went to see the alligators, and here's what I saw in that park. We were standing over a bridge. You could look right down into this like creek water, and there were alligators, big alligators.
Look how long his nails are.
Where?
Right there. Look at his hand.
You can see.
Oh, behind him.
Yeah. He's a beast. He's really, honestly, not all that big.
He's got to be 7 feet long. Look how long his tail is. Oh, look, there's another one coming through.
Where?
It's over there.
Oh, yeah, look at that guy.
And this one just went under.
The one we were looking at?
He started going faster and went under.
So, another thing. The reason why I was in Florida down there is because my cousin lives literally in that area. And she texted me today, and one of her thoughts was, I think they're pretty sure he's dead. That area has a lot of wild boars that will attack you, plus the panthers and gators and snakes. And she thinks that the reason they sent a dive team is because they don't think he's alive. They think that possibly he either committed suicide. We don't know. This is not a fact. This is just our speculation on why they would send a dive team, or possibly one of those animals got him and dragged him somewhere. So it'll be really interesting to see what comes out of all this search for Brian. She said it's all swampy and we've had a ton of rain. She said there are water moccasins and copperheads everywhere. And then she said unless somehow he was smart enough to make it look like he was in there, but left the country. She said Cuba's only 90 miles. And I said, yeah, they must have something like a phone ping or something to be so adamant, searching and searching and searching with all these people for so many days. And then she said, that's what I was thinking. When was he last seen in person? I said, it's not super clear. That brings me to, there was a couple, a neighbor, who went on news today, and they said that that camper that's sitting in their driveway that goes on a truck, they witnessed after Brian came back from Grand Teton, or with the van, Brian's van, he witnessed that Brian, this couple, witnessed that Brian and his parents put that camper on top of their truck and left for about 3 days.
Charlene and William Guthrie live right across the street from the Laundrie home where Brian and Gabby were living before they went on this trip with Brian's parents, and they join me now. Charlene and William, thank you very much for being here. I know you moved there at the beginning of the summer, but you're literally across the street. What did you observe when Brian returned from the trip and you saw that white van that had belonged to Gabby in the driveway?
didn't know it was Gabby. We just assumed it was his van. We just thought they had come back from wherever. We didn't know they were on a trip. We just assumed they were went back to their house or wherever they had gotten the house, wherever they were. We didn't know much about them at all. Nothing at all, actually. And they just came back home. We thought she was in the house with the parents or mother or whatever, and that was pretty much it. I mean...
So after that, the FBI came and took that van away. You saw Brian and his dad working on one of their campers in the driveway. Charlene, can you tell me about that?
I actually didn't. My husband saw that. I didn't really witness.
Okay, so William, what did you see
they had gotten a camper,
in the driveway?
Yeah, well, I was doing some work in the front yard, and I noticed that they got a new camper for the back of the pickup, and I didn't think anything unusual. They got a new camper, so they wanted to put their own touch inside of it. I saw them doing some work. Then when they prepared for their trip, I saw them loading the camper.
Now, you're talking about Brian and his parents after he returned home, is that correct? In a different camper?
Yes.
Okay.
The van is his. His father has a pickup truck, which they purchased a in-bed camper.
Like an attachment camper. And then you say that they packed up that camper, Brian and his mom and dad, and they went camping. Do you know that for sure?
We saw them. I saw them loading it up, and so I assumed they were preparing for, a camping trip with their new camper.
They were gone for the weekend.
Yes.
So how long after he got back, alone in that white van? How long after that was this, when you saw them working on this other camper and getting ready to go away together?
Yeah, I can't remember, the dates.
Week and a half.
Yeah, probably week and a half. I agree with that.
So
yes.
did the police ever talk to you about what you saw, the parents and Brian working on this new camper and then leaving for a few days? Did they ask you about that?
I believe that we did give them that information.
We did tell them that they had gone on a camping trip for 3 days for the weekend.
Did you think there was anything unusual about that?
Well,
after we knew they were missing, after Gabby was missing, when they came to our house on Saturday night a week ago and told us they were working a missing persons case.
Yeah.
Then,
Also, which struck me as odd, as I spoke to my wife about, is that the parents going on a trip, I can see that, but taking their 23-year-old son in a small camper that's on the back of the truck struck us as odd.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. Thank you both very much for being with us. Charlene and William
You're
Guthrie,
welcome.
Yes.
observing.
Now, my question is, was Brian ever visually seen after they came back for after those 3 days? Because they could have taken Brian somewhere. Brian could have been put on a boat somewhere, or Brian could have been taken to some other camping area, and set up. I don't know. Honestly, in my opinion, I don't trust the Laundries because they've been too sketchy. They didn't answer Gabby's mom's text messages. They didn't. Now, I understand pleading the fifth. I do. But I feel like they know something, and I feel like they're helping him because everything isn't adding up very well at all. And I wouldn't be surprised if they wind up being dragged into this and have some charges that they're going to be facing. Just my speculation. No facts involved in that, but it seems very likely that they are helping him. So if they're helping him, this could have all been a ruse to put his car over there, say that he went hiking there and now we can't find him, to make everybody think he's long gone, dead in the swamps. Another thing for people that are looking for Brian, these pictures were blown up from somebody on Reddit of his hand tattoos. I think the hand tattoos on Brian would be a pretty good indication that it's actually him, because he's a white male with a bald head. There's nothing really specific about his looks. You know, sometimes he has a beard, sometimes he doesn't. There's nothing very specific about his looks. So look for these hand tattoos. Anybody that's watching this should be one of the big things that are being put out there. As far as Gabby's text to her mom, that most likely wasn't Gabby. Can you help Stan? That one's a little bit interesting because two people have come up with theories that I've read online. Now again, this is speculation and theory and rumor. This is not facts. But someone on a live stream today had said Brian's last text message wasn't regarding Gabby's grandfather, Stan. It was a line from an Eminem song about a guy named Stan who kills his girlfriend. It was an admission to murder. I don't know. And then someone else had said on social media, I found the word Stan is an acronym for Send the Authorities Now, which text makes total sense. This person says, can you help Stan? Meaning send the authorities now. Gabby was reaching out for help. Gabby's mom did say that Grandpa Stan had never been reaching out to Gabby, so none of it made any sense. Again, something to speculate about, and very curious to see if she was literally saying that as code for send the authorities now. But would they have known where to send them? I don't know. All that last set of text messages and stuff is really kind of throwing me a little bit. And the other theory that I have, which makes a lot of sense to me as a, an advocate, I could call myself an advocate for women that are faced with domestic violence and abuse, because again, I'm not going to get into the story, but it hits very close to home. I think what happened, because that officer, the woman officer that did come on scene, bless her, she told Gabby in Moab, the woman officer that did come on scene in Moab, she did tell Gabby that she should probably maybe think about her relationship with, that it wasn't, there wasn't a lot of good going on, and maybe she rethink things. So maybe Gabby was rethinking things. And after that, maybe they did break up. And that's why Brian flew home from the 17th to the 23rd. And that's why when Brian flew home, he packed up her stuff and put it in storage, because they were broken up. And maybe then they started talking again, because that's how the cycle of abuse works. It's textbook, apologies, all that. They decided to try some more. He got back to his road trip with Gabby. They tried to keep going, and this is the outcome. The cycle happened, the abuse happened, and escalated, and she's now dead. Or it was premeditated, and he went back there, came back again, and had this all planned out, that this was what was going to happen. But the fact that they were so upset and fighting again in this restaurant and stuff sounds to me like Brian. If Brian did commit this homicide, it sounds like he snapped. He got extra angry, worse than he had in the past, and he flipped, and Gabby's now dead. And the FBI is also continuing to seek anyone that was in that area, the Spread Creek dispersed camping area between the dates of August 27th and 30th, who may have had contact with Gabby or her boyfriend, or who may have seen their vehicle. If you are in the area and saw Gabby or her boyfriend or the vehicle, please provide that information to the FBI through these tip lines, tips.fbi.gov or 1-800-CALL-FBI or 303-629-7171. Photos and videos may also be uploaded via the FBI's digital media tip line dedicated to this case, fbi.gov/Petito.
One of my subscribers pointed out that the bag that Gabby has here is actually a bag for conceal carry gun. So, I mean, it makes sense that she would have a gun on a trip like this, out in the wilderness and all that. But my subscriber actually has the same bag, and you can see here that it has a spot there for the gun. Just FYI.
So in conclusion, that's where we're at with this case. Hopefully Brian will be found alive, and keep your eyes open if you're in that area or anywhere in the world, really. You know, he could be anywhere by now. So again, I appreciate you all. If you're new here and you do like my channel, please consider subscribing. Hit that bell for notifications so you know when I post a video or go live. Thank you for joining me on Left Undone Incomplete Investigations. Stay safe, stay well, be kind. Remember that there was a text message on the, I believe it was the 30th, to Gabby's mom saying, can you help Stan? He keeps leaving me messages on my phone and voicemails and I can't get a hold of him. And apparently there was a text message to Gabby's mom saying, can you help Stan? Now, interestingly, so the gentleman that they saw on the deer camera, Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office said it was a mistaken identity. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office has positively identified the individual whose image was captured on a deer, whose image was